Good evening and welcome to a jam-packed Footy Classified. Eddie Maguire's in Mexico. He doesn't do buy rounds. He's back next week. But one person who does do buy rounds is Twomey, who broke the biggest story of the year last week with the re-signing of Nasiah Wanganeen-Milera. And he has two more exclusives for us tonight. One on the West Coast Eagles and one on Melbourne's coaching search. We'll get to Cal in a few moments' time. Rory Sloane has his opinion on the Adelaide Crows and the handling of the Isaac Rankin situation. And James Hird on exactly where the Western Bulldogs have gone wrong and whose fault is it. Let's not waste any more time. James Hird and Rory Sloane, welcome to you both. And Twomey, congratulations on your story last week. Big news out in the West tonight with the re-signing of Harley Reid. Yeah, and probably just as significant for West Coast as last week's signing was for St Kilda in Harley Reid re-signing for 2 more years through to the end of 2028. So this one has been bubbling away for many weeks now. Across the past 12 months, really, West Coast intentions to re-sign Harley Reid. As of 2 weeks ago, Harley very nearly signed a 5-year deal through to free agency. That would have taken him through to the end of his 8th year, but he had some time to think and consider. As of Friday, most recent Friday, he was just about locked into the Eagles, spent a couple more days over the weekend absolutely deliberating, and of course on Tuesday let his teammates know that he'd been for 2 more years beyond his next year, which he was already contracted to. So this is significant in that this is a deal that could see him net $2 million a season over those 2 seasons, with incentives built into that deal. Obviously, it would make him the highest paid player ever in the history of the West Coast Eagles. Hawthorn, as we know, Tom, I'll stand by it. They've been obsessed with the chase of Harley Reid over recent months. They were informed just before the re-signing was made official that their man, in this case, was going to stay at the Eagles.
Great sign for the West Coast Eagles that they're going in the right path, and Harley Reid supporting the Eagles and their plans going forward. What were the main criteria assessed, Cal, in staying? Is it just the money or is it the environment? What was he looking at? No,
I think the main criteria heard is that he's formed a really close bond with Andrew McQualter. This has been critical to his decision-making process over the past little bit. A trade this year would have been difficult as well. He's contracted, whether West Coast would have budged or not and whether it was the right time to go. I think everyone in the footy world likes to see young players stay and give his club some time. And in giving them 5 years, that's a really good test period to see if they've made progress over that time.
He's a top player you can build a squad around, can't you?
Absolutely, yeah. And I think, look, it's really good for him that he stayed. I think it would have been seen as a bit of a slight on him if he'd come back to Melbourne to stay a few more years and see what he can do at West Coast. And he is a player he can build a team on, and they need as many leaders and good players as they can get. You were both very critical about 2 months ago on the prospect of West Coast paying big money, but not a long-term contract. Have you changed your opinion on that? No, I think big money short-term contracts all right. I think big money over a long-term contract for a player that hasn't played a lot of footy is very risky. But still, it's a lot of money for a guy who, Nasiah Wanganeen-Milera, a top 10 player in the AFL. You can understand that, but Rory, $2 million or $1.8 million for a player who, at the moment, would sit outside the top 100 is a lot of money.
There's probably a handful of guys I'll be giving $2 million to at the moment. But, I mean, Harley Reid, exactly right. You lower your risk on a shorter-term deal. I think he's got so much upside. But for me, it's about who they can put around him and how they can help him become and develop. Because he's still only in his 3rd year of footy coming into next season. So they need to put some players around him to manage him.
Absolutely. Cal, we teased an exclusive off the top. The Eagles are trying to do something that no club has ever done before. Tell us more. That's right. So let's go through the detail here, because they're putting together their submission for an assistance package from the AFL after winning 11 of their past 91 games. It's been a hellish 5 years for them. So the league will make a decision in Brownlow week around what sort of package they could or potentially will hand the Eagles. There's 2 things we can reveal tonight around part of that submission. One of them is extra rookie list spots. They've got some opportunities to bring in some NGA prospects who might fit in as rookie listed players. So North Melbourne received that as part of their 2023 assistance package. The other more significant consideration that they'll discuss with the AFL is the exemption to bring in a free agent without diluting their free agency compensation pick that they're set to receive for Oscar Allen. So that is going to, we all think, be picked 2 in the national draft.
So that's uncharted territory.
Uncharted territory. Never happened before. Never been an exemption that's allowed this. Now, this is what I would call the Brandon Starcevic rule, because they are in the market for Brandon Starcevic. He's been weighing up Essendon, staying at Brisbane or going to West Coast. I think it's narrowed now to be out of staying at Brisbane or going to West Coast on a longer-term deal. The Eagles are keen on him, but bringing him in as a free agent under normal circumstances would dilute number 2 pick. They don't want to do that and they don't want to trade for him. So I think as part of this discussion
and submission, they're likely to throw up the ability to get a free agent, such as Brandon Starcevic, whilst keeping pick 2. It would be significant.
I find it remarkable, Tom, that they're actually contemplating giving West Coast Eagles priority picks. I mean, this is the wealthiest club in the AFL who have put themselves in this hole, really, and they've had all the money in the world to go out and get the assets they need, assistant coaches, different coaching techniques to build these players as quickly as possible. Understand they're at the lowest ebb at the moment. They've gone backwards since last year. But to give this club priority picks, who, as I said, is the wealthiest in the AFL, I just think is the wrong message to clubs that you can do whatever you want. If you get down the bottom and spend long enough, we're going to help you out, which I just don't agree with.
Isn't that the idea of priority picks? Like, all these priority picks have been given out of the journey are self-inflicted by clubs. So
but not every club has the ability to get itself out of it in its own means.
Why does soft cap money mean that they can automatically
extra coaches, extra development, fast tracking, technology?
But clearly they can't.
Well, no, they're not choosing to. They're paying the soft cap. Why not pay outside the soft cap, pay the luxury tax, and drive the club to get there quicker than perhaps before? I just think it's an easy out for a club to go, OK, we're not going that well, let's go and get some priority picks.
And we didn't do it when we were bottom either.
Adelaide, I think Adelaide's a similar club, not as wealthy as the West Coast Eagles, but a wealthy, strong, biggest club in the state. You took your time and look where you are now. I think Adelaide's the perfect example.
But invested a lot of time into what you're saying, into development, but then trade was huge too. How do we get senior guys in? And this is what West Coast need to do. They need to get senior leaders into this footy club. But Starcevic is an absolute key. But to get people around Harley Reid as well, I'll be looking at Marcus Windhager or someone and throwing a lot at someone like him or Jack Steele, because if I go through their current leaders, you've got Oscar Allen, who's out, Liam Duggan, great leader, Jeremy McGovern, he's gone, Jack Graham, Waterman, Baker, they've only got a handful of leaders, and I think if you're going to develop these players up, these young kids around, you need to make sure you get the right senior players in around it.
So I don't like the priority pick either, Hurdy.
Yep.
But if there's ever a debate around a priority pick, surely West Coast is
11 from 91, and the AFL leaves the door ajar for their options. And this is why it's not a plain and simple priority pick at the end of the first round. That's been done before and it hasn't worked. So this is why the club goes to the AFL with different options and sees if they might be open to it.
I just think you're rewarding clubs putting themselves in that position. They won a premiership when?
2018.
2018. So 7 years ago they won a premiership.
So how long do they have to wait?
Well, not 7 years.
So 10 years.
Well, no, there's not a time
30.
limit. But it's just not right that 7 years ago you were the best team in the comp and now you're getting priority picks through. What I'm saying is your own fault.
Because you're going through a natural cycle that every other club goes through.
Yeah, it should be 18 years. After 18 years and you tip over, maybe 19 years you get it, but not 7.